Well, hey there, I'm Dr. Tom Ulrich, and I'd like to talk about Arduino. Hey, in this short video, what I'm going to do is talk about the concept of the serial monitor. It's a feature that Arduino comes built in. And the need for a serial monitor goes something like this. As you transition from writing software maybe on a PC, or phone or something, you're probably used to the idea that to help you debug, you can add a print line. One way or another, you can print to the console and kind of see internally what some of your variables are. And a lot of people, when they transition to doing real-time embedded software, one of the first things they find is like, wait, my device doesn't have a display. So for years I did a lot of hydraulic controls and parts of airplanes and rockets and whatnot, and on none of those devices did we ever have a display. And so the question is, well, if I want to have a display like that for debugging, is there something we can do? And the answer is yes, and it's actually pretty straightforward and pretty cool. And what the idea is a serial monitor. So kind of one of the best things is it's all built in, and you don't even have to add a new library or anything like that. All you pretty much need to do is two things. In this setup, you need to tell the software, the code you're building, what baud rate you're going to use to talk serially. Now, what's all that about? Well, the way this thing works is, you normally plug your board in a USB, and the USB can emulate just regular RS-232 kind of serial transmission, and everything will work out well as long as you both know what the time base is. Now, if you don't know what serial communication is, basically it's kind of like this. You can imagine that, if you were out in the woods and for some reason you needed to communicate a number between, you're each on a hilltop and you haven't got cell phones and you're too far to shout, and you could come up with a scheme where, let's say you want to transmit a 4-bit binary number, 1101. You could do a scheme where you say, okay, every 10 seconds I'll have my hand be either a 1 or a 0. So you could say, all right, you hold it up a 1 and count 10 seconds, and then so it's 1101. So you do 1 for 10 seconds, and for 10 more seconds you keep it up, and for 10 seconds you keep it down, and then for 10 seconds you keep up. And somebody on the other side, if they've got a watch and they know you're doing 10 seconds, they could interpret that. But if for some reason they were thinking you're changing bits every 5 seconds, you'd get the wrong number, right? And so you have to have a baud rate, which is how many bits per second. The computer needs to know that, and you see your Arduino board that's sending out the data needs to know what the number is, and the serial monitor, which is something on your PC, it needs to know the same number. Now, they're a lot faster than Boy Scouts who are doing their hand every 5 seconds or something. It's bits per second, so I think it defaults to 9600, but it can go faster or slower. All right, so here's some simple code. And what I've got here is, you'll see up there around the 4th line, it says serial.begin. Now notice the serial's got uppercase. And notice with Arduino, anytime you use a reserve word, so it's a word that the compiler will know about, it turns kind of that burnt orange color. So serial.begin, and look, there's 9600. And so right there we're saying, okay guys, we're going to use 9600. Now, to open up your monitor, what you're going to do is, you'll notice there's up on the upper right of the blue area, there's like a little magnifying glass kind of looking thing, and you click on that and the serial monitor comes up, and it's going to look something like this. And what you'll notice is that at the bottom there will be a little menu, and you'll see it's a pull-up, and what you can do there is you can set your baud rate. And so here it is here. It tends to default to 9600, so if you don't want to mess around with things, just leave it at 9600. But if you want to make things go faster, you could say set both to 38.4 or something like that. By the way, you'll notice next to that there's a clear output, so if there's dull data, it's kind of scrolling down and you want to start over and get rid of what's on that display, just hit clear output. At any rate, so going back to the code, what we've got here is basically what you do. The simplest way to do it is use print, or the way I'm going to show you today is I'm going to introduce the concept of print line and print. So what the difference is, if you say print line, so serial.println, what'll happen is it'll print whatever you put there, whether it's text or whether it's a number, and then it'll jump down to the next line. So if you see on the right, that's the output. The window, I said this message will be sent to the serial monitor, and then on the monitor you see this message will be sent to the serial monitor. And then you see where I say this is the second line, and that's a print line, so it goes to the next. But if you look at the third set there, I say serial.print, this is the first half of the, and then if you look at the next line, I say print line, third line. You see how that looks over there in the monitor? Because I didn't say print line, it didn't jump down to the next line, and so it just sort of continues. Now after that, I have a statement, number of teddy bears. Now notice this is a print, not a print line, so it's not going to jump to the next statement. So I say number of teddy bears equals, so that's all just a string. And then I just say serial.println number of teddy bears. So what that'll do is that'll display the contents of the variable number of teddy bears, and then it'll jump to the next line. And you'll see then I have a blank line where I just say print line and give it 2 quotes. And then I say average weight of the teddy bears equals, now that's a print, so it won't jump to the next line. And then I say average weight, so it'll display, in this case, a floating point number. And then it will jump down to the final line there and put the LBS at the end. And then if you scroll down, what you'll see is in the loop, what I do is I write line number with a print, and then I use print line to say the value of count. Then I increment count, and so it'll just say line number 1, 2, and so on. It'll just sort of scroll off the screen. At any rate, so using the serial monitor is actually quite simple, and it's pretty handy, and I think that's all I've got to say about this topic. Thanks for listening. Hey, and if you'd like to see more videos either about Arduino, or most of my videos are actually on the topic of leading engineers, you can go to my website, tomulrichconsulting.com, or if you're already on YouTube, you can search on Dr. Tom Ulrich. That seems to work. And increasingly, what you can do is also say search on Engineering Leadership Guy. At any rate, please feel free to have a look at those videos. If you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe. Then you'll know whenever I make new videos. And if you leave a comment, I'll respond to you personally. Anyway, thanks again for listening.